A new set of plunder charges were filed against former President and now Congresswoman Arroyo in connection with the misuse of the Malampaya funds. Also included in the charge sheets were 3 of her cabinet officials. It was found that 900 million pesos of the funds were supposed to be used to deal with victims of 2 typhoon calamities. The implementing agency was the Department of Agrarian Reform, and based on the investigation, no projects or programs were delivered by Janet Napoles. Joining us tonight to explain the case is Undersecretary Antonio Parungao of the DAR. Good evening, sir, and welcome to NewsLife.
Good evening.
Sir, to start us off, what gave you the clue to investigate the Malampaya funds released to DAR to be used to help victims of Typhoon Ondoy and Pepeng?
Oh, sometime early last year, around the months of March and April, we received letters from our provincial people as well as from several local government officials regarding what appeared to be the conduct of an audit by the Commission on Audit in their respective areas on alleged projects. Of course, we didn't know anything about this, and they had said that there were no such projects undertaken in their place. And immediately thereafter, we coordinated with the COA, and because there were repeated reports of this nature, sometime in November last year, our secretary had immediately instructed the commencement of an internal investigation by our internal audit group, which led us to provide documents to the Commission on Audit for its own special audit, and which just recently culminated in our procuring certified true copies of 97 checks that were issued here for this Malampaya fund, all of which we had given to the NBI prior to the filing of the case yesterday with the Office of the Ombudsman.
Sir, now why was former President Arroyo charged so with Executive Secretary Eduardo Ermita and Budget Secretary Rolando Andaya Jr.? Andaya said he just released the money to DAR through Secretary Pangandaman.
Well, I would think that the DOJ and the NBI had thought that all of these would not have been possible without the participation of all of those who were named as respondents in the case. Of course, the explanation for their participation is a matter of defense on the part of the respondents at the proper time and in the proper forum.
Sir, now, was Pangandaman part of the conspiracy in the implementation of the so-called projects and programs?
Well, he was the secretary and allegedly was upon his instructions why a letter was written by our former Undersecretary Nieto to request for the 900 million pesos from the Malampaya Fund.
So now, how strong are the evidences to prove that Pangandaman and other officials of the DAR were actually bribed by Napoles?
Well, what we've gathered from newspaper reports is that 9 or 10 of the 12 NGOs who were given checks out of this Malampaya Fund transaction were actually Napoles NGOs. What we've done so far is just based on the record we've got, or the records we've gathered, on the papers we've obtained and submitted to the NBI. And in the exercise of its functions, I would assume the NBI, upon evaluation of all of these documents, had come to a determination that there was a commission of a criminal offense worthy of preliminary investigation to be undertaken by the Office of the Ombudsman.
So just to clarify, the whole 900 million pesos were misused? It didn't go to any projects or programs?
That appears to be the allegation in the complaint filed by the NBI and the DOJ with the Ombudsman, because these 97 projects for 97 towns, covering 97, with 97 checks given to 12 NGOs, appeared to be all fictitious projects.
Now, there are 97 mayors who supposedly received the funds. They claim their signatures were fake. Now, how is this proven, whether a signature by these mayors were fake or not?
You know, that's a good question. We have their, I assume they had their statements taken by the NBI. Initially, when the documents were being processed, it appeared that there were letters from each of these mayors requesting for the funds. The NBI have experts on these, on handwriting and signatures. They can easily determine if a signature had been forged or not.
Was it determined that all 97 mayors' signatures were fake?
Well, we have documents on hand which show that in all of the 97 towns, no such projects were actually undertaken. As to whether the signatures are forged, I think the question would be better addressed to the NBI.
And finally, sir, the Malampaya funds are supposed to be used only for energy projects. The former president Attorney Lambino said there is a presidential decree issued by Marcos that allows the use of the funds for other purposes than energy?
That's correct. There's a presidential decree, I believe that's PD 910, which authorized the use of the royalties from the Malampaya Fund for energy development and energy exploration projects. But the same contains language to the effect that they can also be used for such other purposes as the President may determine. And I think this was the legal basis that was invoked and used to allocate amounts from the Malampaya Fund for many government agencies, the DPWH, the Department of Agriculture, and of course the DAR with respect to the 900 million.
So lastly, looking that these funds before were seen to be misused, what kind of monitoring systems are being done right now in your agency to make sure that whatever funds that are coursed through DAR will be used properly?
Well, among the interventions and innovations we've introduced in the department are, of course, from the standpoint of determining whether a particular NGO or people's organization or locality is in need of assistance, we had introduced this needs diagnostic assistance program, no? And this is what we do for each and every project that we have. So at least from the demand side, that is taken care of. Now, with respect to people's organizations or NGOs providing services, wishing to avail of funds so that they can help out our agrarian reform communities or organizations, we subject all of these services to the procurement guidelines that we have under law. So all of these taken into account will ensure that there will be no such repetition of any questionable disbursement of funds, whether to NGOs or people's organizations or agrarian reform beneficiary organizations. We continue to be ready, willing, and able to help out and fully support the agencies concerned in terms of gathering data so that we can file the appropriate cases in case of any and all other questionable transactions. This is part of our mandate, and this is what we will do even as we continue to do our job as the prime implementer of the agrarian reform program. Just the past week, we had undertaken 3 days of distributing certified copies of certificates of land ownership award or titles to almost 1/3 or beneficiaries in Hacienda Luisita, and we will continue to do so with or without any such investigation.
Sir, final words, sir. What are the next steps with regards to the case being filed with this group under the Malampaya misuse funds?
Well, right now, the complaint has been filed already with the Ombudsman, and the Ombudsman will undertake the preliminary investigation of the case. If we are called upon to submit any and all other documents or to have witnesses or people to testify or execute sworn statements, we will gladly do so. But in the meantime, just to assure the public that the department, even before this broke into the news, had been doing its job, we've expanded our investigation to even look into what was reported a month ago as the CARP fund scam involving 200 million, which is already the subject matter of a 240-page complaint pending with the Ombudsman. We're looking at all other audit findings that have been addressed to the department, including possible use of PDAF funds. And all of these are being done simultaneously and together and on top of the other duties and responsibilities we do in the department.
Okay, on that note, thank you very much for joining us tonight here at NewsLive. That was Attorney Anthony Parungao, Undersecretary and Spokesperson of the DAR. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.